Let's fix your technique. You see, it's a crucial aspect to achieve great results. But first, we need to answer a fundamental question. Why does technique allow us to build more muscle mass? To answer that, we need to clarify what having technique really means. Having technique means having control of the movement. It's not the weight that determines the trajectory with its inertia, but it's us, with our strength, giving rhythm and precision to the movement, activating the muscles we want to train and nothing else. To make a comparison, imagine driving a car. If you have control of the vehicle, you can decide the direction and speed with safety and tranquility. On the contrary, those who don't have control of the car would make unpredictable maneuvers to keep it on track, wasting more fuel, damaging brakes, tires, and so on. But having technique is more than just learn exercises. Even impeccable technique isn't enough if it's not associated with the right loads. So, we can define having good technique as the ability to control movement under heavy loads and throughout the duration of the set. But why does it lead to greater muscle growth? For two main reasons. Proper execution of exercises reduces the risk of injury and allows us to complete our workouts effectively. If you speak with any competitive athlete, they'll tell you that the worst thing that can happen during training is getting injured. Not being able to train for a certain period of time not only prevents us from progressing, but could also negate some of the work we've done so far. The second reason relates to the tension applied directly to the muscle. Proper exercise technique makes each workout more stimulating. You see, we can distinguish between two types of load. External load, which is the actual weight we use for our workout, and internal load, which is the mechanical tension that the barbell generates on our muscles. Let's make an example. If I need to do lateral raises in 3 sets of 8 reps with 6 kilograms dumbbells, we would be working with a tonnage of 140 for kilograms. However, if I use a 10 kilograms dumbbells instead, I would have to 140 kilograms. A significant increase, right? In theory, it would be better for my workout, but unfortunately, in 90% of cases, it's not so straightforward. Given the significantly higher load, I would probably be forced to compromise my technique to complete the set. I could bend my arm, shortening the lever. Use my legs to help with the momentum, like in a push press, and probably completely neglect the negative phase of the movement. As you can see, in order to lift the heavier weight, I had to sacrifice part of my technique, and this could even decrease the stimulus even more than using a 6 kilograms dumbbell. That's why using excessively heavy loads that don't allow to maintain proper technique is killing the gains of the ego lifters. To train at your best, all you have to do is use the maximum load possible with correct technique. It's through the study of biomechanics that the best way to perform an exercise is determined, so every motor pattern should be learned, preferably from someone who can explain it well. But as mentioned in my first video, if you train alone, you can find a ton of tutorials online. However, even though each exercise must be learned individually, we can identify some common rules that define a correct and effective technique. Rule number 1. Isolate the target muscle. In bodybuilding, this concept is well known but often overlooked by beginners. Isolating a muscle means transferring all the weight of the load onto our target. From an anatomical point of view, this is almost impossible to perfectly do that at 100%. Our body tends towards coordination and generating synergistic movements. If you think about it for a moment, you'll see that bodybuilding is the only discipline that requires this. In all other sports, the more muscles coordinate correctly, the higher the performance. But if we're training to build muscle, then you need to focus on challenging your target muscle and nothing else. Are you doing cable crossovers? Then you absolutely don't want your shoulders to help your chest during the pull. In multi-joint exercises, it's much more complex than in single-joint exercises. However, this problem is also offset by the significant difference in load. In multi-joint exercises, in fact, you can use much more weight to compensate. By the way, just try your best to always isolate your target muscle. The isolation of muscles is the reason why many professional bodybuilders prefer isotonic machines as they gain training experience. Rule number 2. Stretch the muscle by extending the range of motion. It has been observed that the more a muscle is stretched, the greater the stimulus will be. This principle is widely demonstrated in studies on squats, where it has been shown that even using a lower load with the same technique, the increased range of motion compensates for the load. Rule number 3. Control the negative phase. Research highlights that the greatest muscle damage occurs during the eccentric phase of the movement. In particular, the technique of forced repetition, a training method in which loads of 110% of the maximum are used and the focus is solely on slowing them down, has demonstrated the highest degree of stress on muscles fibers. According to the latest papers, just 2 seconds of holding would be enough, thus retiring the super slow technique, which involved 7 seconds of eccentric phase. Rule number 4. Explosive concentric phase. Conversely, it has been observed that a decisive concentric phase would improve neuromuscular coordination, favoring fiber recruitment. It's a bit like when in martial arts the master tells the student to imagine piercing through their opponent when throwing a punch. These small mental attitudes truly influence our motor skills, helping us generate more force. Bonus rule. Another important tip for impeccable technique in many exercises is to learn these 2 fundamental movements: scapular compression and depression, and pelvic anteversion and retroversion. The first movement is essential for proper training of the chest and back, thus regulating the involvement of the shoulders. The second is vital in leg exercises, stretching, and many calisthenics movements. If you're not familiar with these 2 movements, I highly recommend learning them. Trust me, they will make a difference in the long run. This topic is incredibly vast, and as a fitness enthusiast, I could talk about it for hours. However, for now, let's focus on addressing the most common and simple issues. In the future, I'll delve deeper into each of these aspects. Thank you for your attention, brothers and sisters. If you've made it to the end of the video, it means you've already shown an interest in your well-being, and I congratulate you. I want to assure you that the journey has only just begun. In the upcoming videos, we'll explore new horizons of fitness, from nutrition to training, from motivation to overcoming plateaus. No Brasians, no gimmicky theories. I'll simply share with you what I do as a profession, explaining as clearly as possible the same principles I teach my clients. I promise you valuable content that will help you achieve your health and fitness goals. So, if you want to discover the fitness secrets and unveil the truth, stay tuned.